life is all about learning and moving, at least my opinion. Right? And because of that, I feel like even though I may talk a lot, but I'm a very lazy guy. Like my idea of a perfect
But
week.
you're full of knowledge. You're full of knowledge.
You learn that from talking to people. Right? I like everyone will think I'm just some brown guy, whatever, but once I open my mouth, they realize, oh.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say anything like, oh, I'm a special guy or anything. No, some of these guys do like camping and stuff. I can't imagine myself doing that by myself. But but talking is something like that's what I said, when you're a social worker and a doctor, you need to understand about what the people are being through, because that's how you treat diseases. Right? Now, medical and social work, if you ask me what's a simple difference, obviously the money. Obviously.
I like your English too.
Yeah.
It's very nice. The way you talk English.
This is my natural.
That is fucking amazing.
If you go to Melbourne and you talk to some different blogger, when they put on that accent, I'll purposely talk to them in Sinhala. Because no matter what, I'm always a Sri Lankan person.
Jesus, you're English, man.
Yeah, so I'm a Sri Lankan person. However, some people, they kind of laugh at me because they can tell. Like the longer they know me, they know certain things I pronounce differently. Right? My wife has a field day. She knows certain words I can't say, so but she teaches me. Right?
Oh, very nice.
And my mother-in-law is a single teacher, so I'm not learning how to do it. But unlike some people, I don't say that. Some people, from my experience, I have met people who pretend like they can't speak, and those are the type of people I despise. When they talk to me in English, I'll talk to them like this even more. Then they'll feel like, hey, what? Then they start talking to me back in Sinhala. Then I talk to them in Sinhala because I appreciate that when they speak to me in Sinhala, I speak in Sinhala. Right? Because like remember, when we're in Canada, we are having a bit of an identity because half of the time I'm thinking, shit, I need to fit in. I need to fit in. I need to know what the culture is here, what the trends are, right? Now, if I talk like, hello, how are you? I'll get fun of till next week, right? So when for example, this way I'm talking to you, I didn't have this way when I first came. My best friend was laughing at me till tomorrow. Don't speak like. Sometimes he still laughs at me. Because what happens is now my situation is very interesting because, for example, the other day, some years back, we are in Sri Lanka. However, I have to call my bank in Canada. So I'm talking to Aneta, can you get me a glass of water? Then I call my bank, hey, what's up? Yeah, my name's Manuja, I need to talk. Then Tat is like, what the hell just happened? You know, I just completely switched accents, right? And then like I went from folk to like full on.
Oh shit.
But if you talk to my sister, she speaks even more, like with a more of an accent. Like, but now see, the other thing is also, for example, you have to take advantage of this because now when I did the interview for Queensland, they didn't see my face because I said like for some reason the Queensland job, they had an option to do a phone interview. I said okay, I'll do a phone one because I can't be bothered to pretend to wear a nice long sleeve shirt and a short and then sit under the table. I couldn't be bothered. I said okay, let's do one. So when they asked me, it was all all white people. I said whatever. They gave me the phone. I started talking like this. I didn't even let them ask a single question. I knew what they were going to ask, right? They asked me as I've done job interviews now since finishing this degree. I've done about 20.
Holy shit, you should get the permanent residence like straight away, man. I don't know what the fuck they're
whatever, it is what it is, right?
Oh shit.
But having experienced all that, now I understand first because for example, when I got my PR in those days, I was only 8. I didn't know what the hell my parents had done. But now I understand. And being immigrants, I'm telling you guys, as immigrants, we always have to work 3 times hard, right? We have to work, and the same thing in Canada, we have to work 3 times as hard to get to where we are today. But because people like us, ethnics or whatever you call it, because we work 3 times as hard, that's why anywhere you go, especially in Australia, compared to Canada, because our Sri Lankan population, Sinhala population is very low.
Yeah.
But here, I came to Melbourne, I was shocked to see how well our people are doing. Even the people who work multiple jobs. Here,
they're living the dream.
Yeah. Guy drives a Mustang, he has a mob bucket in the back, he doesn't care, he's not getting judged, he's living life, right? He can't buy that car in Sri Lanka, you need to be a millionaire to buy it, right? Even buying a Toyota Hilux is like a luxury.
Like owning a bicycle is a luxury.
It's a luxury. So, look, when these Aussies, they don't know that because when I was in Mission Australia, they come in Hiluxes. I said, your Hilux is like a $200,000 car. They're like, oh my god, what? They can't believe it. And they're like, how do you afford? I said, go to Sri Lanka, you see V8s, right? And even interestingly, recently I went to Thailand, right? Interesting place to go when you marry.
Yeah.
But okay, whatever. I went totally because I was forced to go.
Okay.
That Indian friend, he said, mate, I already bought plane tickets, you're coming us to Thailand. I was like, shit. I was like, no, I can't say anything, right? He completely guided us, right? Oh, interesting. Apart from, everyone goes to Thailand for different other reasons.
Purpose.
I went to travel because, it's awkward, right? But it's interesting. My parents went in 1993. Unfortunately, we all got sick, so I couldn't see the temples. Because we all there was a huge flu case going on in Sri Lanka. So after my wedding, all of us suddenly got the flu. Meaning 2 weeks after the wedding, because there was a flu going around.
See.
Right? First it was my aunt, then me, then like that it was going. So when we went to Thailand, it was a bit hard because 3 of us are now ill. However, in going to Thailand, one of the interesting things was the traveling, right? Like everyone there is going for there are places you go to Thailand, right? I don't need to go too much in there, but people know what Thailand is, right? Why they go to Thailand. I went completely to travel. And when I was in Thailand, I was so shocked. Now, Thailand is a very developed country compared to us. Even I remember my father saying that was the first country my father traveled to, outside of Sri Lanka. He's like, when you go to Bangkok is like going to New York. That time for him it's like a big deal. He's like coming to Colombo, he's like, what the hell is Colombo, right? But the funny thing, I only saw my whole stay, my 1 week I stayed there, I only saw 2 V8s, okay? They don't even pay the taxes we pay, right? When I'm coming from Katunaya going to Kaduwela, about 7 V8s, light tech gahana, horn neck gahana. I'm thinking, then my friend is shocked because that Indian friend, he didn't believe me when I said that these vehicles are very expensive. Right? I told him this 2008 V8 we borrowed from an uncle, right? He gave it to us. I said, this is a $200,000 car. In 2008, the headlights are like foggy. I said, this is in Sri Lanka, it's a $200,000. He's like, no way. Then he was shocked. Then he said, why in Thailand, which is a more developed country, only he saw 1 or 2. I said, in the highway, they are going 200. They don't care. I said, the Sri Lankan people assume that, because we are a very small country, that people just assume we're very poor. But that's not the case. Yes. I've met people in Sri Lanka, they have, I know someone, they had a V8 and they came to pick me up, right? They said, we are going to the temple, why not you just come? I said, okay. Then we are going, I said, uncle, I know shortcut. But, uncle told me he knows a shortcut, But towards my house, there's a way, you bypass Kaduwela town.
Okay.
You can bypass that whole traffic. But I said, uncle, I wouldn't take my car here because it's a very narrow road. Brand new V8 there. He went, he said, it's okay, Puta, don't worry, whatever. Can I come here? Everything. He's like, I said, I can hear it scratching. He's like, he doesn't care. I'm like, oh God, no, why? Then it was scratched fully. I'm like, Puta, what is this? It's just a car. Then I know, okay, this guy has money. He does not care, right? Like, I know if I had like an Alto or something, it's scratched like that. They don't care. Half of my relatives wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't even do that, right? Because I know how expensive it is. When you reach that level in Sri Lanka, you are rich anyway, right? Here, coming here and buy any food can buy a car here. But I have seen some Sri Lankan guys, they buy very nice cars. But then they are up to their ass with mortgage or rent, car payment. You can't do this in Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, people judge you just by what you commit. Maybe recently I saw in Cinnamon Life, I think. One tourist was, three-wheeler. Right. And then if you go down south, sometimes you can get discriminated just because you're Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, right? That has happened to some people. I know, yeah. Because they assume that we are Sri Lankans, we are not believing. They think the Zubdas have money. They are even more stingy, in my opinion. This is all my opinion. Right?
Yeah, true.
They are more stingy than us.
Oh,
For example, when I'm talking, let's take Russian tourists. Right? People think Russian tourists have money. Yes, some do. Russia is, if you thought Sri Lanka had a wealth inequality, Russia is on a whole another level.
Wow.
Yeah, Russia, they are. When my parents came to Ukraine for my graduation, my parents were the only ones who came actually. All the others, they are coming from different backgrounds. They can't even afford to send their parents. Inequality is the job, right? My thought was like, what the hell is this? Like, he thought now Ukraine is industrial-wise is a very developed country. They have Air Force, everything. They manufacture all this, right? But the average Sri Lankan those days, before this economic crisis, I'm not talking about that, I'm talking 2018, that time, right? Those, I remember thinking, my father said, hey, the average middle class Sri Lankan is better off in Sri Lanka than the bugger is in Ukraine. Yes, sir. I know friends who they go to Latvia and they can bring the car for a few hundred.
Wow.
I mean, no. It's all about who you talk to. I know I had another guy, I can't say his name obviously, he's a very good friend of mine. But he had some connections to the local mafia also. Like, he's a student. But remember I said, talking, if you're forward talking to people, you can easily make friends with them. And Russian people are they're hard to make friends with. But once they accept you, they'll treat you they'll take care of you like your brother. Like, they will do anything for you. Yeah. So that's why I always try to make it a habit. It's still something, I can't always do. Right? Now, I have no idea, for example, in Townsville, how the people are. I don't know.
No.
I literally just got here. Right? Now, I know, for example, in Darwin. Now, the interesting thing is, when I went to Darwin, before I went to Darwin, people told me, Manager, don't go to Darwin. You'll get stabbed. Crocs will kill you. Maybe even whatever. Some even said that you might, even the Aboriginal people might do something.
Wow.
I said, you know what? I'll believe it when I see it. I said, okay, I don't have a choice. I said, I was trying for jobs in Sydney, but all my friends got, I didn't get, right? I'm thinking at night, sometimes it hits you, right? Like, hey, I'm doing my best, but nothing. I was about to say, okay, I'll drop it and go back home, no problem. But then last minute, I got a call saying that, Manager, we like you to try to come for this role. Are you interested? I said, fuck yeah. I didn't say yeah, I said fuck. Okay. And I was like, okay, I have to go down. All this furniture I had, half of it I packed in the car, which you saw I was unpacking the whole day and still unpacking. The rest of it, පාරේ යන එකට randomly මම කතා කරනවා මේ ඔයාලා මේසයක් ඕන. අරන් යන්න. I have to move in 1 week. 1.5 weeks I had to move to Darwin. What the hell am I going to do? Then I'm like, okay, I'm taking a big risk now. At the same time, I applied for this Queensland job, but they never got back.
Oh.
I called them 3 months ago. Before I applied for this Darwin one, I called them 3 months ago. They asked me, and they were asking me like, oh, do you have PR? Do you have Medicare? I said, what the hell is Medicare? I don't even know what that is. No, because we are students, we don't get that, right? And I never thought I just said, I'll try. I have nothing to lose now.
True.
Right? And it was actually my wife who said, at that time I was thinking I'm applying and I applied for over 150 jobs. Out of that 150, I only got about 15 interviews. 150 and then only getting from 15, only one was Darwin. I was thinking, you know what, I want to go back to Melbourne. Melbourne was where everything, all the Sri Lanka. Even though I say that, I love my Sri Lankan community, but I'm very, when it comes to those things, I'm kind of behind this. I'm a background character. Like for example, you do the vlogs.
Yeah.
Right? Now everyone's happily going. I'm the guy in the chair, maybe having a beer or like drink apple juice or something. In the background, not talking. In the camera, right? So, but when the camera is off, I can tell us and that's my specialty. I take pride knowing that, like for example, when I was in Victoria, I didn't know anyone coming to this country. I stayed, I learned a lot by being කොල්ලොක් ඉඳලා තමයි ඉගෙන ගත්තේ. කුණාරට ටිකක් ඉගෙන ගත්තේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ. මට purposely වචන කියනවා මේක කියන්න අරක කියන්න බලනකොට මහ ජරාවක්. මම දන්නේ ඒක තමයි ඒගොල්ලන් තාත්තනේ. මොකද ඒගොල්ලන් දන්නවා මට සිංහලෝ කියන්නේ කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක තේරුම දන්නේ නැහැ. මොකෝ context එක දන්නේ නැහැ. ඉතින් මාව විහිළුවට ගන්න but in a friendly way. Maybe not that friendly but
it was good memories at the end of it.
Yeah, I learned a lot about taking Mune. I learned a lot about what the struggles the Sri Lankan, the average Sri Lankan or ethnic brown, let's say brown. I say brown a lot because that's what we are. We are brown, right? That's what a brown person goes through, the struggle. Now my parents, thankfully, they didn't have to go through this kind of struggle. Right? But that was 24 years ago. Now it's very different. It's very different.
It's two different ball games now, like that.
Yeah, and not just, for example, think of it this way, right? I go to the US all the time. We just drive across the border, they just ask, where the hell are you? Where are you going? Buffalo. Okay, have fun. I can go there, say 6 to 9 months I can stay without anything. I then come back. Right? Now, for example, my wife, she's a Sri Lankan citizen. Just to transit through US, for example, let's say now last year, so I bought her down here for some time. That was the first country, outside of Thailand. This was the first country to a Western country, right? So she came here, she had a lovely time, she learned a lot. But at the same time, I felt like I didn't have to teach anything, she already adapted. She's more adaptable than me, right? And I said, okay, we have to go to Canada now for this PR.
Yeah.
And then only I realized, oh my God, what a difficult process that is. Because, so a lot of the flights at that time going through Sydney, at that specific time, you have to go through US. I can just go, no problem. She needs visa just to go to the airport and stay 2 hours and go out to next flight. Then I realized, okay, this is not feasible. That's why I tell, for example, like if you're fortunate to whoever is listening, whatever, if you're lucky to get a PR here, don't just go for the PR, go for the citizenship. Because if you have a PR, that's just a document saying that you can stay here.
Stay here.
But you're not considered an Australian. People will think, I have PR, I'm an Australian. No one gives two shits about you. That's the reality. Our people don't realize that. Once you get the actual passport, and also keep in mind, you know how we say some things are more equal than others? Even equality in a perfect world, in a socialist world, everyone is equal.
Yeah.
But why does socialism never?
Yeah,
because some are more
is better
equal.
than-
Now you look at Russia and Ukraine, best example. The doctors, the cleaners, they all get paid. They used to. Now I could be wrong. I'm just saying from what I've heard, from what I've talked to. They all got paid those days $300 equivalent salary. Okay. Now you know what they do to make ends meet? They take bribes. They take extra. Like if they see certain students are wealthy, they'll take extra money. Like that's how they do their. It's a system. That's why I said If we thought corruption in Sri Lanka is something else, Russia is a whole nother category. But their corruption is just more professional. Well, these countries are corrupt, but not to the extent like Sri Lanka is, right? Like you must have heard the story recently. Sometime back, Australia Post, one of the high positions there, they were caught by gifting luxury watches and everything. Yeah, it happens. It happens here, right? But most people, they don't realize that because we are so used to thinking, not picking on Australia. I'm just using Australia as an example. We think that it's only Sri Lanka that's bad. A lot of Sri Lankans actually. One thing I realized is talking to so many over the last few years. Until they come here, they think that Sri Lanka is the worst country in the world. Everything's terrible, right? I tell them, go to like Africa, for example. People think Africa is a terrible place. I tell them, no, that's not the case. Go there and see for yourself. Very rich people are there, but very poor people are there. And middle class people are there. It's just like Sri Lanka, but sometimes the country is more corrupt, right? So, when the amount of times, sometimes in Ghana to get things done, the amount of connections we have to go through to get it done is a whole other story. Right? But that's just how it is. Right? Then after a while, people realize that, oh shit, Sri Lanka is not that. Sri Lanka has problems, don't get me wrong. But after a while, we think that Sri Lanka is not as bad as
we think.
Yeah. So it's all about context.
True, very true.
And if you ever get a chance, don't just stick to your bubble. Go meet with people from different countries, right? And try to understand where they are coming from. Because when you understand where they are coming from, you know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.